Hi, my name is Kevin Blanche. Today I'm going to talk about how we got in this economic nightmare that we're in. From a reality standpoint, I wear a lot of hats in my life. I've been a plaster stucco contractor for years and years, but also I've got an economics background. I was a derivatives trader for many years. I've worked as a Wall Street analyst. I was a semiconductor analyst for a long time. I've traded derivatives for over 35 years. Now, when you listen to an economist talk about what's going on in the economy, let me tell you why it's so dry and you just turn it off and it'll put you right to sleep so fast head spin. It's because they're academians. 99.999% of them have never done a day's physical labor in their life. They've never worked in a business world. They're academians. Yeah, they're very good at theory and reading theory. You know, I come from a town with one of the great economists of all time, who set the table for what we are all about, Marin Reckless. Yeah, he's from right here in Ogden, Utah. 99% of Ogdenites don't even know who he is. You know, even business professors in this town, it's so sad, don't know who he is. It's pathetic, really. But anyway, I'm going to talk about how we got into this economic nightmare from a standpoint where I've been embedded in this thing. Now look, I don't care where you come down on the wars. In the late 90s, we had huge economic prosperity in this country. Huge economic prosperity. As we have economic prosperity, debts come down. Tax revenues go up. Working class are paying, well, white collar and blue collar. Tax revenues increase. Everything comes together. Our currency becomes extremely strong. In the late 90s, we had huge economic prosperity in this country. From any standpoint you can look at it, we had surpluses. Yes, surpluses. That's right. 10 years later, how did we get into this nightmare so fast? Well, look, we fought two wars. As we fought two wars, wars cost money, a lot of money. Not only did we just fight two wars, we lowered the tax rate while we were fighting these wars. Now look, it's a simple equation. As you increase spending, and these wars cost gargantuous. We're not splitting hairs here on different government programs. This is massive sums of money. We lowered the tax revenue. Recipe for... Then let's throw on the top of it a falsely stimulated interest rate, way down. We falsely stimulated this interest rate way, and what blows my mind about this, Greenspan, the great free market economist, he was an Ayn Ronder. That's who he studied. The greatest free market writer probably ever. Now let's think about why was she such a free market. Let's see. Born in Russia in the early part of the last century. Lenin, Stalin. Yeah, hello. I would say she would counter against, you know, anything that was the opposite of communism. So he studied her. Now let's think about him. So he's this free market guy. Really? Really? Falsely stimulated interest rate? Is that free market? He was using Keynesian economics to the 10th power. He was no free market man. Not even close. Not even close. In history, we'll view him as one of the biggest manipulators and users of economic tools in the economy's history. That's how he's going to get viewed. He will not be viewed as a free marketplace guy. He claims that's what he was. He was as far from that as you can get. You know, remember his term, irrational exuberance? You know, and then he started slashing the interest rate when it should have been floating up. So that's how we got here. We had a faulty stimulus rate, so weakened our currency. As our currency gets weaker and weaker via inflation. Now we use the CPI and the PPI numbers. What bullshit numbers those are as far from the government. You and I, anybody knows inflation went crazy over the last 10 years. Houses doubled, tripled in prices. Commodity pricing went off the roof from A to Z. You know what oil was in the late 90s? $10, $12, $15 a barrel. Gold, $225 an ounce. You could take any intrinsic asset you want and put it into the number. Boom! We had massive inflation. Falsely stimulated rate, heavily deficit spending, lowered the freaking tax revenue. That's how we got here. Wars cost money, a lot of money. We've got to do one or two things. No war, but if we have one, we've got to pay for it. Pay-as-you-go is a reality. That is not some political spin like the rest of these cliches and slogans are. That is a reality. That is a basic economic principle that was ignored That's how we got into this mess. Now look, as our currency against the euro, against any other currency, 80, 90 cents against the euro, the dollar was. It went to $1.60. You realize it went to $1.60. If you've traveled in the last few years, anywhere in the United States, you know it was chock full of Europeans. I spent a lot of time in New York City, just massively chock full of Europeans traveling, because the currency got so strong. Well, it's rolling in now. The only thing that we have working for us is what we call a flight to quality, because Europe's worse than we are. A lot of Asia's worse than we are. So people still view us as the strength, so they're throwing their money into our bond market. You know what's ironic about it? They sure ain't throwing it into the stock market. They have no confidence in our stock market. And you would think the only basic commodity pricing that did not go up in the last 10 years, everything inflated. The only thing that did not inflate was stock prices. There's the confidence. That's what these people have done to our stock market. People don't have any faith in it. All the crooks on Wall Street ruined it for all the good people. I mean, if you put the math to what your money is worth in that market via inflation, you think, oh yeah, I got the same money that I invested in 96. Think again. You got destroyed. Your purchasing power is 1/5 of what it was. That money could have bought gold, oil, houses, what intrinsically you could have bought it. Go sell it and see what you can buy now. So that's how we got here. We have 2 wars, and then we hear about it. We don't want to pay for them. Well, after World War II, we were in debt. Well, you know what the tax rate went to in this country? Because people accepted that and they understood we need to pay. They weren't a bunch of crybaby baby boomers. Well, that's what we've got here. Oh God, don't raise my taxes, but let's go freaking get 2 wars. Get real. Get real. That is the basis for all this. Our currency got freaking total. We got killed. We had massive inflation. Falsely stimulus interest rate because you demanded it. So you could go refinance your house over and over and over. No taxes, lowered the tax rate. We have one of the lowest tax rates in the history of this country. Don't want to pay for it, but yet anything, boom, let's go do it. Let's go do it. Let's go do it. You know what? Get a grip. There is the reality of the economics of this. And Greenspan was no free market guy. Not even close. He is full of shit. And anybody that views him is full of shit that way. He falsely stimulated this interest rate. So did Bernanke, and then let's think about Paulson in there. I mean, come on, ex-CEO of Goldman freaking Sachs. You think Goldman Sachs had AIG, when everything melted down, they get paid 100 cents on the dollar. They're the only ones. Wow, AIG took $80 billion of TARP money. They haven't paid back. Sachs got 100% on the dollar off their derivative hedges. It's one other spiel, man. But let's get real about the economics about this. Oh yeah, and this is a real one. I got this from freaking Glenn Hubbard's little brother himself in the 80s. Yeah, he's from our town too.